Just like any other sport, injuries are a part of golf, and every professional player knows he'll be forced to spend time off the course at some point. It only takes one awful injury to show you that some electrifying golfers are actually mere mortals like us. However, sometimes injuries can be far more serious than a little sprain. From Tony Finau's celebration gone wrong, to Brandon Grace pulling out of the LIV Golf Invitational, to former world number 1 Tiger Woods suffering a painful back injury and an accident that almost took more than his career. So stick around to the end of the video to find out how some painful injuries either affected fans or brought pro golfers to their knees. Tiger's auto crash. Widely regarded as one of the greatest of all time, Tiger Woods suffered a car crash in February 2021, which caused him leg injuries. It was past 7 a.m. and Woods was driving in Rancho Palos Verdes, near Los Angeles, when his car scaled a median, went across 2 lanes of road before hitting a tree and landing on its side off the roadway. According to the police, Woods didn't remember much of the incident. After rolling his car in a serious single-vehicle accident, Woods broke both his legs, and it was so serious that he never thought he'd ever walk again. And if he couldn't walk, he would never play golf. That would have been a disastrous end to his career. Tiger was moved to Cedars-Sinai Medical Center, where he received follow-up procedures on his injuries. According to the doctors, he suffered trauma to the muscle, and his condition required surgery to release the muscles in order to relieve the pressure due to intense swelling. Tiger would later confirm in a statement, saying that the procedure was successful. 3 weeks after the crash, he traveled from Los Angeles to his home in Florida to continue his rehabilitation, and still could not remember much of the crash. The 15-time major championship winner thanked his fans on social media for the outpouring of encouragement and support. Today he's back, hitting shot after shot and reiterating his loyalty to the PGA Tour. Well, at least Tiger's accident wasn't self-inflicted, unlike the next golfer on our list. Finau's celebration went wrong. You see, we all know that recording a win in the par 3 contest on a cool Wednesday noon before the Masters doesn't mean much. It doesn't translate to you rocking a cool green jacket on a Sunday afternoon, but try not to tell that to Tony Finau or his ankle. It was his debut at Augusta National, and Finau hit a hole-in-one, which was pretty fantastic, but he wasn't expecting his tee shot to go right in the pin. And what he did next was what your dad would say when he meant, just act like the end zone is all yours. Well, unfortunately, it's golf, not football. So maybe Tony wanted to own the greens, and that was when disaster struck. While his family and the world watched, Tony busted his ankle, going down on one knee, and before he rose up, he appeared to pop it right back in, receiving applause from the crowd. From commentators to fans to fellow players, everyone on Twitter freaked out. Here's a sampling of the stunning reaction. Golf Channel tweeted, "Watching Tony Finau pop his ankle back in place." Trevor Reese tweeted, "Tony Finau trying to Bill Grammatica himself, celebrating a hole-in-one. Par 3 contest, y'all." In a message to his fans later that day, Finau said he wasn't too worried and he went on to play in the tournament. Tony later confessed that the injury did change his footwork for a pretty long time. While Tony Finau's injury could have been horrific, check out the next golfer who collapsed right on the greens, JDs Vertigo. Jason Day is an Australian pro golfer and a former world number 1. During his booming career, the 2015 PGA Championship winner was literally the best golfer on the planet. Jason had 13 PGA Tour wins, 3 European Tours, and 1 Korn Ferry Tour win, totaling 17 professional wins. But the pro golfer hasn't been so fortunate since then. J-Day is one of the finest players the game has ever seen, but when he collapsed on the final hole of his second round in 2015 at the US Open at Chambers Bay, something just had to be wrong. Medics quickly attended to Jason while he stayed on the ground for a couple of minutes. Although JD closed out a round of even par 70, it was obvious he was in distress. As Jason Sobel of ESPN noted, Jason Day has been struggling with vertigo. Day later confirmed it when he said, "I felt nauseous all day, and I've got terrible sleep deprivation, so maybe it's all part and parcel of having a kid." Day continued, "That's just my life, so one has to deal with it." As confirmed by his manager, Bud Martin, Day had suffered from benign positional vertigo and was subsequently treated by Dr. Robert Stoker and Dr. Charles Soulier. Well, at least Jay had his problems sorted and was back on the greens, unlike the next golfer whose costly injury made him the first LIV player to pull out of an event. Gracie withdraws from LIV Golf Bangkok Invitational. Branden Grace is a South African pro golfer who plays on the LIV Golf Tour. Gracie won the second ever LIV Golf Series event in Portland and scooped up a handy $4 million. But little did he know that what would happen next would see him become the first LIV player to withdraw during an event. The 34-year-old, who holds the record for the lowest score shot in a major championship, began experiencing severe pain on the second hole in the second round at Stonehill Golf Course of the LIV's Invitational Series held in Bangkok. Gracie felt pains on the driving range, and after hitting his tee shot at the third hole, he lay on the floor and medics had to be called in. Branden later received treatment from physiotherapist Cornell Dreesen, but that wasn't after spending considerable time on the floor. Along with Eugenio Chacarra and Richard Bland, Grace was a first-round co-leader of the event after shooting a 65. Before he withdrew, he trailed only Eugenio Chacarra by 1 stroke. Bland said, "Branden hit a fantastic tee shot and everything looked normal. But when he hit the shot at the second, we noticed he began to struggle, and it was from that point we realized he couldn't pull the trigger." After Gracie's pullout from the tour, officials said he was headed to get an MRI. Although it remains unclear if he has fully recovered, we hope to see more of him on the LIV or any other tours he wishes to play on. At least Gracie's injury made a record, unlike the next golfer whose toe was a complete mess. Sam Torrance suffers a broken toe. Samuel Robert Torrance is a Scottish pro golfer and was one of the leading golfers on the DP Tour from the mid-70s to the late 90s. But in 1993, during the Ryder Cup week, the golf legend accidentally tripped over a plant pot while sleepwalking. And the result? He sustained a chest and toe injury that ruled him out of the singles. Within 3 years, his toe became septic, which caused him to miss the 1996 season opening event. Torrance said, "A big blister developed last week in Malaysia and it was a real mess when it burst. Although I managed to finish the tour, I pulled out of the Pro-Am and the shootout." Here's Torrance, who suffered his first golf injury, unlike the next golfer who was forced to withdraw by his doctors. Woods withdraws from Wells Fargo Championship. After suffering an Achilles injury during the 2011 Masters, Woods was forced to pull out of the Wells Fargo Championship at Quail Hollow. The pro golfer suffered a mild strain to his left Achilles tendon and an MCL sprain to his left knee, according to a statement on his official website. Although he continued to play in the first major of the year, doctors' advice forced him to pull out from the next PGA Tour appearance. "I expressed my regret in not being able to play to tournament officials," Tiger said on his official website. "This is a great event, but I must heed doctors' orders to get better." While Woods had doctors who advised him to pull out, the next golfer suffered an injured wrist before telling himself he couldn't continue. DeChambeau pulls out of the PGA Championship with an injured wrist. Bryson DeChambeau is a guy known to spark a lot of interest. Known for his scientific approach to the game, Bryson has encountered injuries that almost made him walk away from the game. After missing the cut at the Masters in April, Bryson withdrew from the PGA Championship in May this year. He injured his wrist after he slipped while playing ping pong at the PIF Saudi International. According to Golf Digest, it would take around 10 to 12 weeks to recover from this type of surgery. Not to our surprise, Bryson was swinging a club merely 4 weeks after his surgery, just in time to prepare for the PGA Championship. But speaking with Golf Channel, he said, "I didn't feel it was the right decision for me to play at the PGA this week. I'm unfortunately not going to play, but I want to give someone else a chance." Check out the next golfer whose injury saw him replaced in the President's Cup. Koepka withdraws from the President's Cup. In 2019, Brooks Koepka slipped on a wet concrete floor and aggravated his left knee. The unfortunate knee injury would later cause him to withdraw from the President's Cup 3 weeks before it began due to ongoing knee pain. Koepka, who led all qualifiers for the United States team, said his injury at the CJ Cup in South Korea didn't heal well enough. Following the awful incident, the American captain Tiger Woods replaced him with Ricky Fowler. In a statement, Brooks said he considered it to be an honor to be part of the team and regretted not being able to compete. An emotional Koepka told reporters, "I blew my knee out and my foot pointed almost sideways and backwards. I wasn't sure of playing again, but it's really nice to be back and be able to win." At least Koepka's injury saw him exit a tournament, unlike the next golfer whose silly mistake cost him the 2015 US PGA Championship. Rory ruptured ankle ligament. Rory McIlroy had to miss out of the U.S. Open at Chambers Bay and the Open at St. Andrews during his 2015 season after rupturing his ankle ligament while playing soccer with his friends. On the artificial pitch, Rory turned awkwardly and felt his ankle give way. The pro golfer had no choice but to sit and watch as Jordan Spieth and the others blazed up the major's fairways in 2015. Rory later posted a picture of his ruptured ankle in a protective cast with the text, "I have decided not to feature in the Open Championship at St. Andrews after much consideration. Although rehab is progressing well, I really want to return to the tour when I feel I'm 100% competitive and healthy. I hope to be back on the greens as soon as I can. Best wishes." Earlier this year, the Northern Ireland star banned himself from football to avoid a repeat of what happened 7 years ago. He said, "I pride myself on not repeating the same mistake. I have played other sports except football because that could happen. I was a silly boy." Check out the female MacGyver who got bitten by a black widow. Daniela Holmquist spider bite. As well as being a talented female golfer, Daniela is the MacGyver of the female golf world. So in mid-February 2013, while taking part in the ISPS Handa Australian Open pre-qualifier at the Royal Canberra Golf Club in Australia, Daniela Holmquist, a Swedish pro golfer, was bitten by a black widow spider. Surprisingly, Daniela didn't just keep her cool, lancing the bite with a tee in order to drain the poison out before completing her round. Holmquist later tweeted, "Got bit by a black widow while on the course? A caddy said people often die from it and I should see a doctor. I shot 74. So, what do you think about these injuries and which is more horrific? We'll catch you in the next one.